I'll give a little quick intro. Corey, probably saw the first episode, so musician, play guitar, play bass, and have been playing in bands for a really long time. So starting to get back into beat making and music making and songwriting and stuff like that in the digital world. So I'm going to start first. This is the Whitney Houston challenge, and I'm going to go through how I made this beat. And I'll kick it off right here. So let me share my screen. All right, so I'm going to try to make this quick, and actually I'm going to play the beat right away. So it's going to be about 2.5 minutes. There's a somewhat of a music interlude that takes the song out. So I kind of arranged this. I actually built some choruses, and you're going to hear me try to sing. So please, bear with me there. I'm not a singer, but I like to, whatever I hear in my head, I like to kind of just put it out on the paint, on the canvas, just so you can kind of like train yourself to make hooks and stuff like that. So I'm going to play the beat, then I'm going to go through exactly how I made the beat. So bear with me. It's going to be about 2.5 minutes. Here we go. And the beginning of the beat is going to be kind of silent because I put a bunch of filters on it. So for the first kind of like 2 loops through, you're really not going to hear a ton. So bear with that. I did that on purpose, and I'll explain that afterwards. Here's the beat. right, so that's the beat. Okay, so I want to kind of go through this really quick. There's a lot here, and I'm actually going to probably make just a separate video just to break down what I did with the vocal sample. So again, the challenge was Whitney Houston, And listening to a lot of her music, it was really hard to find any of her music that was sampleable. So what I did is I had to kind of dig through, and I found an acapella online. So if you go to YouTube, you'll find that there's probably like 8 or 9 acapellas. One of the first ones that I pulled was actually this acapella right here. I'm going to play the sample. I just need to take off some of these filters really quick. I'll take that off. So here's the sample.
I don't really need to look very much further. I don't want to have to go where you don't follow. I won't hold it back again. This passion inside can't run from myself. There's nowhere to hide. Don't make me.
Okay, we all know that song. Her voice is ridiculous. I was sitting there just listening to some of her acapellas alone because it's that good. But where she says, there's nowhere to hide, I chopped that. That is the main sample that I used here.
There's nowhere to hide.
That is the sample of the song. So I did a little bit of chopping. I chopped that and then I pitched it a couple times. And what I came up with was this, and I'm going to solo those 2 tracks, just the sample. Here we go. So there's another thing that's happening is the second sample is pitched up, and then I chopped just the word hide. So what I ended up finding was I kind of was going for, like in my head, I had the idea of whatever that Cameron song is, where there's like just the same vocal sample repeating over and over, where it's like, killa cam, killa cam, killa cam. So in my mind, I had this idea of like, oh, that's great. I love how that like vocal melody kind of just like bounces off in the background, and then you have the flow on top of it. So in my head, I was kind of thinking of that and going that direction. And at the end of it, I just completely ended up with something different. So there's 2 things happening. There's her regular sample in the pitch that she's saying it in. There's a secondary sample that is pitched up. And then there's just the word hide, where I actually took just the word hide and push it up. So what you get is basically somewhat suggestions of chords with the way that those 2 hides hit each other when this plays. And I'm going to play it one more time.
There's nowhere to hide.
There's one.
There's nowhere to hide.
So you kind of hear when both of those hit, it's sounding like 2 different chords. And the video I'm going to make is going to show you how you can reverse engineer that in order to kind of build out a chord phrase. And that's actually the next step in the process. Also in that other video, I'll show you a little bit into the time stretching, because I had to take her vocal melody and slow it down to fit within the time signature. This is actually it has kind of like a 3/4 feel to it if you listen to the song again. So those are the main things that I sampled from Whitney Houston, and that's basically the backbone of the song, is just the vocal melody bouncing off of each other. The next thing that happens is there's organ. So this is where I reverse engineered, figured out what those chords would be to sound good, and I found a chord melody that just kind of progresses down and then turns around at the ending. And it's really just kind of like a 4-bar phrase that repeats over and over. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to sample just the organ. This also has some filters on it, which I just took off. So let's go here and just listen to the organ. So nothing crazy there, but when you listen to the organ with the vocal melody as well, it sounds really great because you can hear it progressing. So when you're pitching those samples, sometimes you can pitch it and you'll hear like the notes leading up to that one note that she's holding might not be in a specific key. That's, again, what I'm making another video on, just to kind of show you how you could reverse engineer, making sure that you're not hitting notes that are not within that key once you build out the chords. Okay, so that's the backbone of the song. I added a couple elements, and I'm just going to add the drums and the bass. So I played the bass for this as well, and here it goes. The organ had, for most of the song, it had a low pass filter on it, so it kind of just takes those highs way down and it pushes the organ into the background. So let's listen to that. So again, with a bass, I took that and I actually put a low pass filter on that as well, because I really wanted to take the character out of the bass, get rid of all the highs and let the bass kind of sit way in the background. So if I play that without the low pass, you could hear all the high ends. You could hear all the actual mistakes I played on the bass. I'll put the filter back on. So some people might like the filter off or on. I just took it out because that's something I think you could mix later on, and I just wanted to get something there, just to kind of have something there. The other elements that I added was a guitar, and I actually spent a lot of time on the guitar. I play guitar, so I wanted to kind of make it feel a little bit airy and floaty and a little jazzy. So I added a lot of guitar, and I'm going to play the organ, the drums, and the guitar together. So up until this point, really that's all that's happening is you have a beat and a loop that's just going over and over. I just made certain decisions on what I wanted to layer. There's really, a handful of things. Drums, organ, guitar, and bass make up the foundation of the song, with the vocal sample kind of panning left and right from Whitney Houston in the background. And adding a low pass filter can really push her vocals way in the back. So that way, if you are having someone rap on this or sing or whatever, that way their voice is going to be up front. Now, my last point of this beat was just kind of going with your gut. And if you start to hear like a chorus or something, just go ahead, record it. It doesn't really matter. These can be scratch vocals. This could be really anything. What I heard in my head was something like an easy melody on top of it. And I'm going to just play that chorus again. Brace yourself, because I'm not a singer, but get in the habit of doing these things when you can, because it'll just help you grow, I think.
With nowhere to run and with nowhere to hide.
All right, so that's pretty much the beat. One last thing I'll say is, even if you're using an acapella and you're using a vocal sample, obviously, you may not want to end up producing a song and having a song go out there with Whitney Houston on it. But if you're just using a snippet of her vocals and you like the melody that she's saying, you can even consider her vocals in that sample kind of like scratch, right? Then you could hire a singer basically to kind of re-sing those parts, right? So it won't sound like you're stealing from Whitney Houston. It'll sound like you're basically just kind of reinterpolating that. You're playing something that you're inspired by Whitney's playing, and you kind of already like built that track up and reharmonize it in order to make your own thing from it. So that's really the song. The end, I had a vision for like a trumpet interlude. I have no trumpet. I have friends that play the trumpet, so I just played it on guitar. And even if you hear it, just record it. You'll actually hear me with my mouth trying to pretend I'm a trumpet. Lucky I didn't have a kazoo. Okay, so that is my beat, my submission for episode 2 challenge, Whitney Houston. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to E and Piso to see if they have any questions. I could kind of look a little bit deeper onto this beat. I think they're still muted right now.
No, I actually I don't have any questions. You kind of covered everything. It's pretty
awesome.
elaborate. But yeah, I like what you did with especially with the vocal sample, with the layering of the vocal sample. It was very dramatic, I would say. It takes you to that space right away. It doesn't give you any time to prepare for that space. It jumps in and takes you right to that space. So
right.
I like that, from the beginning, you didn't know where the beat was going to go particularly, but you did know that you were already going to be in a very intimate, maxed out, emotional space. So definitely dope.
Yeah. All right.
Was really cool. I like how you mixed the organs with with her vocals. It's funny because that high pitched like chipmunk soul style that you used, I love that. And I don't know, my cat, as soon as it started playing, my cat started like reacting, like he thought it was like a mouse. Like he started looking around, like I hear something. I hear that high. Like he recognizes a certain frequency that he associates with mice. But no, it was really, really cool. I like the organ work. Obviously, your bass lines always impressed me. This was different from you. This was definitely like a more slow, chill, like R&B groove, and I like how you did that.
Yeah,
I really like how you.
I wasn't expecting this either.
Yeah, I like how you manipulated her vocals. Great job.
Showing the softer side of Corey over here. What's your cat's name?
His name is Sasuke. From Naruto.
Sasuke. That's right.
Yeah.
This song goes out to Sasuke.
The song is dedicated to Sasuke.